All right. How is it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? Now I'm back again. I wanted to go ahead and do a video. Actually, I've been trying to get some content up I really kind of want to just try the StreamYard service on a pre-recorded video that I do on my Bison to see if it'll upload simultaneously to all my platforms. So that's why I'm doing this in full screen. It's really kind of hard to do it in full screen, especially if you're scrolling through the internet. However, with this is just a video. I'm going to go ahead and respond to the idiocracy, because really at the end of the day, it seems like everybody in entertainment and everybody in DC has kind of overstepped into like idiocracy territory. So yeah, I figured I would go ahead and to me, it's just really kind of cringy. Particularly whenever you see people that were involved in stuff like the WWE, old shit, that you know that they don't really care at the end of the day. They're just shilling out. And I think that this is one of the reasons why the entertainment industry is starting to lose so much of its fan base. Particularly, like when you look at A&W Wrestling and the entertainers that are allowed to promote their ridiculous philosophies out there. You don't look smart, you don't look intellectual, you can't back your positions up. You're just trying to pass the buck on to your paying customers. And so let's go ahead and listen to what Kevin Nash has to say, and then I'm going to go ahead, I'll stop the video, I'll do my responses, and then I'll show you how out of touch this man really is. And really, Kevin Nash isn't the only one. You look at people like The Rock, you look at the people like CM Punk and stuff like that, and just how really out of touch they really are. So let's go ahead and listen to what he's got to say.
I know, right? You lock yourself into the news constantly, so it's good to see that you get some wrestling time in there. There's been plenty in the there's been plenty in the news. I just want to say up front, now I'm a lifelong Cowboys fan, so this story crossed me. Crossed my phone this morning. They have a partnership with that.
And this shows you how ridiculous and out of touch these people are. Now, I don't watch Sean Oliver. I don't watch any of this bullshit anymore. I don't watch any of the wrestling shows right now. If I were to suggest one, NWA would probably still be my go-to show. Billy Corrigan seems to have a pretty smart business acumen. And it's a pretty it's a quality program. And, I can go ahead and tip my hat to WWE right now for not getting so political and not going this woke. Say what you will about the WWE. I don't watch it. There's stuff to like about the WWE. However, I can tip my hat and say that they still understand good business practices. So, kudos to you. But, for the most part, a lot of the stuff going on with YouTube, and, it's really hurt your content creators by pushing all of these identity politics and, the LGBTQ, particularly in wrestling. I don't even really watch anything regarding wrestling anymore. And it's hard for me to even watch the wrestling content creators. To be honest with you, I don't know if I'm subbed to Brad Rules on this channel. I still keep up with Andre Corbill, but I know Andre Corbill. So there's a little bit of a difference. So, as far as watching any wrestling, Andre Corbill would probably be any kind of wrestling related news that I would see on here would be towards Andre Corbill. But for the most part, I don't really watch any of the wrestling shooters at all. The product has gotten lame. The audience is stale, and they're just going through the motions personally to me. It's not that entertaining. But, I digress. Let's go ahead and continue with the video.
With a coffee company, right? Which is apparently a pro-gun coffee company. They put...
Now, with this being said, ends up being the issue with your entertainment and with your identity politics. So what if they're pro-gun? So what if they're veterans? You know what I'm saying? Does that really matter at the end of the day? What happens if I like Black Rifle coffee? Maybe I like the way that it tastes. Clearly, they must be doing something right because they are growing. There are Black Rifle coffee facilities here, and so clearly they're growing. And it's a coffee company. At the end of the day, they're not selling firearms. Just because they have a personal position regarding firearms, who really gives a fuck? Other than the people who are not going to be paying your fucking bills, they're not going to be paying for your way of life. They're not interested in anything that you're selling. They're trying to sell their own cheap gimmicks and cheap shit to everybody else. So anybody who has an opinion regarding the Cowboys' partnership with Black Rifle Coffee, which probably incorporates more of their actual fan base, particularly whenever you're talking about the Texas area, which is going to be predominantly where a lot of Cowboy fans live, well, then what business of it is anybody else's? At the end of the day, this is a non-starter for me. It's a useless, it's a moot fucking argument. Who gives a fuck? At the end of the day, what's the point? Why are you triggered, I guess, Sean? If I may ask, from one Cowboy fan to another, why does this trigger you?
In their ads, there you go, yeah. I guess some of the verbiage in the ads could be seen as a little tone deaf today. I think it's, I want to get the...
And see, I don't watch the mainstream news, so I'm not watching the propaganda bullshit that you're watching. I don't indoctrinate myself with these placebos that you call media outlets at the end of the day. So, I mean, it's just gutter trash is all it is. It's tabloid journalism. These motherfuckers are still talking about Donald Trump as if Donald Trump is still in office, because nobody's taking these rags seriously at the end of the day. This is why their viewership is so low.
Get the exact quote, what the ad said. But did you see this?
No, but I know for a fact that they, I don't know if they still do, but I used to listen to Dana, I think her name's Dana Bausch, is that her name?
Bash, yeah. Dana Bash.
I used to listen to her all the time on the way to the gym. And she was a Republican, and she's a gun, she's a big Second Amendment girl.
So we already know she's a Republican. This is him trying to throw himself out there a little lifeline, saying, oh, I listen to the Republicans too. And so Dana Bash. And then, it is what it is. I don't listen to Dana Bash, and I don't listen to the next guy he's going to mention.
But she was cool. I mean, she was, she was kind of a centralist.
And I mean, at the end of the day, whenever you look at this, this is everybody, they're trying to project shit out there is what they're trying to do. At the end of the day, most people, most independents, you take the anarchist, you take myself, which I consider myself more of an anti-federalist, more states' rights, stronger states' rights, weaker centralized government. You take the constitutionalist, you take a majority of the independents swing to the right. So this is why the market value for these companies like AEW Wrestling, we see what's going on with Thor Love and Thunder. I don't know how well that's going to do. It's woke crap to me personally. The woke garbage is you're starting to see the effects of woke garbage. CW just went out, it just went under because of all the woke trash that they were putting into their network. That was one of the main culprits. Now, I know that you'll have actual justice warriors saying this and that, but this isn't. It was because nobody wants to watch, even the target audience that it was meant to go ahead and draw in, they missed the mark on. So for the most part, most people are just over with this woke bullshit. And this is why these industries suffer at the end of the day. It's neither here nor there. As anybody who has ideas and can reasonably entertain and produce movies and produce shows and produce stuff that may resonate in the entertainment industry, just hold on for a little while. Hold on, because with the the direction that Hollywood's going, with the direction that companies like Disney is going, with the direction like your new, these shows and stuff, these new networks are going, that market may open up a little sooner than you think. So if you have all these ambitions and stuff like that, and you're a reasonably entertaining personality, and you can reasonably entertain without having to jump on board with indoctrination, state media bullshit, then, maybe there'll be, more careers out there for this, but it is what it is.
She was an actual Republican. And, she would call bullshit on bullshit. So I'd listen to her, and then after her would be Hannity, and it would be like, all of a sudden it was like, like the acid kicked in. And, but he had that, whatever the hell the name of that company you're talking about.
Black Rifle. Black Rifle.
That was one of his, I know that was one of his sponsors.
They have
that fucking pillow fucking freak.
Of that guy.
And people actually watch Fox for whatever fucking reason, particularly Republicans. And mainly it's to people who are tired of the bullshit that Kevin Nash is about to preach right now. The monotonous bullshit that's just orchestrated over and over and over and over, and then we have to hear these weenies cry about how they have hurt feelings because they saw something on TV. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to hang out with people like that. Nobody wants to watch people like that. It doesn't inspire you at all. So, with a guy like Hannity comes on and he's sitting there taking the opposite position, well, these people start to gravitate towards that position. This is why Tucker Carlson is probably one of the most watched news anchors out there. This is why everybody has a meltdown over Tucker Carlson, and this is why you have to throw out these little psychological operation, social engineering bullshit out and try to get people to go after Tucker Carlson. It's not going to happen. We live in the information age, and you people come unequipped whenever you come to these public forums. This is why people like me have to be suspended off of this fucking platform, because people like Kevin Nash, who isn't equipped to go one-on-one with people like me in any kind of real conversation. It doesn't matter if it's in the comment section or if it's live on video. You know what I'm saying? I've heard it all before. And I'm not going to entertain your fucking delusions. I'm going to hold you accountable to what you're saying, and I'm going to call you out on what you're saying. Because that's what people that sub to me expect. I know that people that follow you are, hoping that you just say something that they agree with, and it's a marginalized base at this point. We see how Matthew McConaughey, who I think is an incredibly great fucking actor, went out, started talking that shit about Uvalde, and started talking about all of this, and got ratioed. Got absolutely fucking destroyed. Got ratioed off the... and that's sad, because I like him. I do think that he is a good, decent actor. He's a very, very entertaining individual. But whenever you're alienating a lot of people whenever you're sitting there taking this extreme position. You know what I'm saying? Me, I can go ahead and alienate anybody that I fucking want, because I don't have the platform that a Kevin Nash has. I don't have a platform that Matthew McConaughey has. I don't have a platform like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So this is one of the reasons why I never sold my channel to fucking Disney or Machinima or whatever the hell they were, whenever they made the offer back in the days, whenever I was doing my video editing, is because if I want to have that opinion, then I'm going to have that opinion, and I understand that if I have that platform, then my opinions are not necessarily my own, they reflect Disney. Therefore, I was like, I would rather just have my own YouTube channel with my own subscribers and cover the content that I want. I don't need all this, this big major platform and to sell out and to, be what they want me to be. I can be exactly who the hell I want to be on any of these platforms, and I can go ahead and post the content that I want to post.
Yeah, they have the AK-47 Espresso Blend, the Murdered Out Coffee Roast, and the Silencer Smooth.
And we can see that this cuck is already fucking triggered.
Coffee roast. Yeah.
So
Let me kick in your fucking door with fucking, yeah, it's just like, that's so, I'm a huge gun guy.
I know you are.
But
And like I said, he's trying to go ahead and paint this picture of, oh, I like guns, but let's go ahead and listen to
it
what he
comes
has
down
to say.
to it, like, an AR-15 is not a good hunting weapon.
You can totally hunt with an AR-15.
I mean, anybody that knows what that round does, if you were to shoot a deer with it,
It's a 22 round. It's exactly what the fuck it is. It's meant for distance. The AR-15 is meant for distance. This is why whenever you sit there and you say that, oh, he took an AR-15 inside this Walmart or inside this church or inside this school, you know, a fucking 50 cal would fuck you up probably a lot worse. You're not gonna survive if you get hit with a fucking Desert Eagle 50 caliber. Period. You know what I'm saying? The AR-15 is meant for distance. It's meant for distance. So if you're inside a church, then you know you're taking away what makes that weapon effective, to shoot from a distance. So this is, you know, if you change the fucking narratives, I don't know if it would still work, because whenever you're looking at staged shootings, you know, it goes up 4,000% when the most Marxist president in the history of this country, you know, overturns the Smith-Mundt Act and makes the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act. All of a sudden, mass shootings go up 4,000%. I find that a little bit more than just convenience. You know what I'm saying? Particularly whenever you're working so hard to push small arms treaty that was in the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which this is really, at the end of the day, what it's about. You're just out there cucking and shilling for these, you know, politicians. So it's always the AR-15. I mean, there's no diversity for sure in your, you know, weapon of choice, what you're trying to push. It doesn't look, you know, it doesn't look, you got to sit there and think, it doesn't look real at all. It looks kind of clownish at this point. Whenever you're consistently using the same weapon to go ahead and push a narrative, then it looks like a fucking narrative. And less people, each time you push that little goddamn dummy button, it affects less and less people. More people get immunity to it. But I digress. Let's go on.
you're gonna end up ripping, you know, you end up eating shit
No.
by the time the bullet comes out of his ass.
Whatever.
You know, it's just not a weapon. You
Well,
know?
this guy's a gun guy.
That those are hunting guns, right? I mean, even
Maybe you need to talk to our girl Green from Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
It's her favorite hunting weapon.
Marjorie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen.
How much?
And see, this is what happens when you spend too much time on Twitter, because you think this is cool. Oh, I'm going to attack Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's kind of like you know, most of the time Marjorie is right. Some of the shit that she's a little off on, but a lot of times she's right. You know what I'm saying? She's right on a lot of her positions. This is why people voted for her. Even though the tools on the fucking... But see, that's how you win elections, is by being unpopular on Twitter if you're a politician. By being hated by the media. It's absolutely the Streisand effect at this fucking point. So I mean, you know, you have more people that see this and say, oh, well, you know, especially like the people that are really, really solid pro, that are, I'm going to vote Donald Trump no matter what. It's ultra MAGA motherfuckers. When they see somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert or a lot of these people, which, you know, personally, I'm probably not going to vote for Trump if he runs again. No doubt that Trump will beat whoever the Democrats put up, because they're not going to put up anybody reasonable. That's okay. I'm fine with that. But with that being said, those people are not going to sit there and look at, you know, this shit and say, oh yeah, well, fucking Kevin Nash is a... You can get the dumb idiot, you know, people that marks out there that are just going to mark out for everything. Yeah, they'll support you. You know what I'm saying? They'll support anything. It doesn't matter. They're sycophants. That's exactly what sycophants do. They have no real autonomy. They just see Kevin Nash say something. Kevin Nash said it, so it must be true. You know what I'm saying? However, real people who would actually have a right to an opinion on said issues and understand said issues are just going to call you out on it and mock you and make fun of you. So you're going to always be at this level of just being a clown for indie marks and shit.
Stupid can you put in a human being?
It's become this left-right issue, but it's really a common sense issue, and
the left-right paradigm is just, it's already dead for the most part. There's commies and then there's non-commies at this point. And of course the commies are the ones that want to implement just a little bit. They just want that inch, because if they get that inch, then they're going to end up expanding on that inch and taking over more and more rights. So that's ultimately what it is. So yeah, ultimately, you you have somebody out here who absolutely understands nothing about what they're talking about. This is what happens whenever you take these people out of their professions. Now, if he was to go ahead and shoot on, say, Haku or something, yeah, people will probably sit down and take the time to watch this. I think that this only had like 5,000 views, maybe 6,000 by now. Not very many views. And if it did get in on any radars, like Crowder or anybody who would, reasonably see this and, have an opinion about this, an informed opinion, not just you crying crocodile tears like you give a shit about something, and you're gonna see how overboard this gets. Then they're just gonna make fun of you, like everybody else that's not inside this little echo chamber of wrestling marks that are even familiar with Kevin Nash are gonna sit there and see this and say, my God, what a dipshit, what a absolute fucking dipshit. That's what they're going to sit there and think.
The Constitution is a document that has been amended and can continue to be amended. And when you talk about the wisdom of the founding fathers, they knew things were going to change. They probably suspected, as they wrote the Second Amendment, that that a single load musket was probably not always going to be the norm. Probably thought that
it wasn't even, it may have been the norm back then, but they had fully automatics back then. And they could have easily, implemented one of those fully automatics back then. They had Gatlins and shitballs and stuff. So I mean, they could have made these exceptions, but they never did. So
one time, you were not going to be called out in the middle of the night to fight the redcoats, and you needed your musket at hand. So we're at a time where we don't have the single load musket, and I don't think the redcoats are coming.
No.
So what can we talk about?
And you never know. You don't know. I doubt it's going to be the redcoats, but China's already made the, when asked, one of the Chinese presidents, I forget exactly which one because I'm not familiar with Chinese history, but one of the Chinese presidents that said on an invasion of the United States, would he ever invade the United States? He said absolutely not, because for every blade of grass in that country would be paid for with blood. So, I mean, whenever you look at what's going on in the Ukraine right now, there's no telling, there's no telling. I would just go ahead and reserve my right to have a constitutional right to own a firearm. So I mean, this is more hyperbole than anything else, but we'll go ahead and listen to y'all ramble on.
Well, we've got I think they said yesterday when I was watching, between 10 and 20 million AR-15s in this country. And
maybe, I don't know.
So, and I know that there's a lot of people like myself that I didn't necessarily need an AR-15, but I if it's like anything. It's like the arms race. If Pakistan has it, then India has it. Then if they have it, then we. So it becomes a situation where, the Second Amendment says right to bear arms.
Yep.
Well, is an Abrams A1 tank, is that considered an arm?
Yeah, and that's why there's no specification. They used to own cannons back in the days, and in fact, you can find a marked letter to Jefferson, asking if we could own cannons. And yeah, absolutely, you can own cannons. It's a firearm, isn't it? So,
I mean, do I have the right?
It does say to bear arms to serve a militia.
There are actually people who own tanks. Can you?
And like in today's, right now, say if we were in Ukraine and we were part of a militia, would you go with a musket? Would you go with an AR-15, or would you go with an Abrams?
Right.
I think I'd take the Abrams.
Right.
I think I'd take about 12 million pissed off vets. You know what I'm saying? Actually, it's probably 18 million, but I say about 3/4 of them are probably not entirely fucking satisfied with the way that the government is going, with the high gas prices, with the inflation, with the lockdowns, with the mandates, and they're kind of irritated at this fucking point in time. If you are under the delusion that this is going to be somehow lead to a civil war, let me go ahead and dispel any of those fears and those notions. Whenever you look at Sri Lanka, whenever you look at what's going on in the Netherlands with the Dutch farmers, whenever you look at what just recently happened with the trucker protest in Canada and how they were trying to freeze assets, whenever you cross that threshold, right, where the laws and where society is going outweighs the consequences of any kind of real-time reaction to said laws and consequences, then you're going to have more and more people go on board, and it's not going to be a civil war. It's just going to be more like a French-style revolution. And we can already see with what's going on in other countries, with prime ministers from Estonia, from Britain, from Sri Lanka resigning, and the assassination of a prime minister in Japan. We can see what's going on right now with slow Joe Biden. And so those are the issues that a majority of Americans, at the end of the day. And gun issues is probably the most single losing argument for the Democrats. Even a majority of their own people don't support any kind of real gun restrictions. And the legislations that are being proposed with like red flag laws and shit like that, you're not going to get a lot of interest in them.
It's a touchy issue.
Yeah.
I know you're currently building a tunnel there. You're in Florida. You're building a tunnel so 10-year-olds can get out to get abortions, I know.
Yeah, because I think that...
And see, I really want this to be satire. I don't want them to be this dumb. You know what I'm saying? But it's whatever.
That's one thing is... just take the woman and take her body and just, she has no say so on what happens to her body.
And see, this is another one of those ridiculous leftist fucking arguments that makes absolutely no fucking sense. The issue isn't a woman's body. A woman has the right to get pregnant. A woman has a right not to get pregnant. That's not the issue. Once that choice is made, then you lose. It's no longer the woman's body. You understand what I'm saying? Now you have another life that's involved. And this is something that they won't even consider as being a life. And this is another reason why. Because I don't remember Kevin Nash coming out there and digging tunnels underground for people who want to escape certain mandates that were here recently. Is one of the reasons why Roe v. Wade was overturned. It had to be overturned because of the ridiculous federal mandates that were, pretty much forced on society just a year ago. So, does a woman have a right to choose? Did I have a right to choose? I lost my job. I lost my livelihood because of people who thought that, oh, well, you shouldn't have that right. You should have to be forced to take the VAXX, whatever the fuck, and the fucking mandates. Fucking bullshit. You don't believe in a woman's right to choose, because you damn sure didn't believe in the 20 million nurses that probably lost their jobs across this country because they refused to go ahead and, be fucking guinea pigs. So you don't care. This is just another one of those wedge issues that you're trying to throw out there and try to present like, oh, this is a niche thing for me to cover, and oh yeah, nobody's gonna call me out because we're at this. No, you've lost this argument 2 years ago. Your chance to go ahead and defend this right should have been taken 2 years ago, before people like me lost my job. But you didn't care back then. You didn't care. So it is what it is.
I think, if I had to sum it up, it's real simple. If you don't believe in abortion, don't have one.
And if you believed in the right to medical privacy, if you believed in the right of my body, my choice, then you should have made this argument 2 years ago, and I should have the same rights as any kind of female who's going to get an abortion. But apparently that's not the same, right? It's not the same. So ultimately, I don't care about if you want it, that's the way it should be. Because you've already lost this argument. You lost this argument already.
But for a 10-year-old girl in Ohio to get raped...
And see, we've already this has already been clarified. This is why it's really only on Twitter. I know that a lot of these people, if you're watching it on Facebook, you have no fucking clue what this dude is talking about. Because nobody else is talking about it. Nobody's sitting there saying, well, did you hear about that too? Nobody's talking about it. How awful that is. And, normally, even back in the days, whenever something like this would come out, like John Benet Ramsey or Casey Anthony, people would have an opinion. Nobody has a fucking opinion on this because nobody trusts the mainstream media. And with good reason. Now, of course, Ohio has a law for this particular fucking instance that, but there was nothing ever reported. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about the rape. They didn't give a fuck about the rape. It was about the abortion. She had to cross state lines. Because, the people who are not leftist are supposed to jump on board and said, well, she crossed state lines to have an abortion, because they used the whole Kyle Rittenhouse cross state lines with a gun, and it's supposed to be some sort of hypocrisy type thing. There's only one problem, is neither one of them are real. They were all fucking media narratives. It was all made up bullshit. And so, it's just kind of fucking cringy listening to these celebrities talk about it, and they're so out of touch. You're so out of touch. Now, there was a loophole specifically for this event. They went into Indiana, supposedly. This is according to your fake story, your hoax that you're investing so much time in, and that then whenever the Republicans are, I don't even want to say the Republicans, the non-fucking leftists, the people who are not Democrats, the people who are not on this placebo that is leftism and entertainment, the people who are going to sit there and call into question this shit, they started asking, well, what the fuck? How the fuck did she get pregnant? What was the circumstances? And they didn't even say anything until Joe Biden mentioned it, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, the rapist was 6 weeks after the event happened, which makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. So absolutely, this is another fucking hoax. It's a hoax, just like your gun shit. Now, you can go ahead and call me a conspiracy theorist. You can go ahead and make your fucking cliche that I wear tinfoil hats, and that not everything is fake, and no, absolutely everything on your mainstream media is absolute fucking trash, and it's a waste of my time. Every once in a while, they'll cover some sort of truth. You don't even catch the media in lies anymore. You can't even catch them in lies. You have to catch them in the truth. It's a fucking, they constantly lie. So since they're constantly lying, you have to look for that little bit of fucking truth that they may throw in. And even whenever they throw that truth in, I have to wonder what the fuck they're trying to cover up, just like the ivermectin thing that just came out here recently. Oh, well, you know, it looks like ivermectin is okay for corona and shit that they've been spouting all over fucking Twitter today. And so whenever they do finally, or the Hunter Biden shit, or the, you know, Jeffrey Epstein stuff, whenever they're finally telling the truth, what are they trying to distract you from? That's what I think whenever I see anything from, I don't even watch the news. I don't even watch the fucking, I watch Hard Bastard, and the sole amount of news that I get is from his coverage on TYT. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever they're fucking talking about on Twitter. Right now, the fucking mainstream media is irrelevant. And they're still talking about Donald Trump as if he's in fucking office.
And missed the 6-week cutoff by 3 or 4 or 5, 6 days, whatever it is. And she's basically at this point now told by Ohio that she's got to go term at 10 years old with her.
And this isn't true. And I know that the motherfuckers in Ohio are going to go out and they're going to vote fucking Republican, just like the motherfuckers in Florida, just like the motherfuckers in Iowa, and these various other flyover states that you clearly have no use for. Go ahead and enjoy your little Chicagos and your LAs. I'm sure your surrounding communities are about tired of that bullshit as well. And your New Yorks and stuff, of these people who try to pretend like they're, you know, in the know, like they're experts at anything, you know, trying to explain something, and it's dumbed down to the lowest common fucking denominator, much like Kevin Nash is doing right now.
Rapist child with a rapist baby inside of her, and she has to go to Indianapolis to have a
and this is just as cringy as you can possibly fucking get.
Procedure done to have the abortion. Like, fucking really?
That's where we are now, man.
I mean, when are we gonna fucking? I mean, when?
And now, I mean, you know, didn't I hear Kevin Nash tell a story about something about like Scott Steiner sitting there and you know, sodomizing somebody with something as some sort of fucking hazing. But now this guy's like, oh, well, a 10-year-old girl got raped. I mean, I'm sorry, you know, y'all done a lot of fucking sick, weird-ass shit. You know what I'm saying? In the form of hazing. So I don't think that he's triggered. I think that you're shilling. I think that The Rock is shilling. I think that the reason that The Rock shield is to get a fucking XFL team. And so now, whenever people see you, they don't look at you the same. You know? It's like you lost a little bit of dignity whenever you shill like this. And so, yeah, I figured I would go ahead and do a video response to this about Kevin Nash on his click. But like I said, not a lot of people, you know, are, you know, going through. There's not a lot of traffic on YouTube, just like there's not a lot of traffic on Facebook or Twitter right now. And a large portion of it has to do with these media, or these social media sites trying to appease leftist talking points while trying to silence people like myself, who's already had, you know, multiple accounts taken down by these, you know, tyrannical fucking big tech oligarchs and shit. So I must be saying something right. And so I think it's only a matter of time, ultimately, before these sites start to crumble. You know, you can only have, you know, now whenever I do this, I guarantee you, when this video gets uploaded on YouTube, one of the few comments that you're going to see is somebody trying to sell you fucking some shit, fans only shit, XL. I even leave the fucking comments up there. I don't even delete the motherfuckers. But, you know, you'll see somebody from fans only, or go and look at my fucking Twitter following. The majority of the fucking people that follow me on Twitter are fans only. Or go to Instagram. Go to Instagram. I guarantee you that all of my followers on Instagram are probably fans only people. You know what I'm saying? Because they're trying to fucking promote and sell their shit. So anyways, yeah, I figured I'd go into a video. You people tell me what you think. Do you think Kevin Nash has a point? Because I know he doesn't have much of a point. I don't even know if he stands pro-gun or anti-gun. However, he seems to be triggered by the Black Rifle Coffee thing. Listening to his diatribe about the 10-year-old fucking hoax victim and shit from Ohio, which is fake news, just like the Ilan Omar and fucking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez getting arrested. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck about your fucking abortion shit. Nobody gives a fuck about your gun control, and this is the worst time to ask for gun control whenever gas is almost like $4.50, and you have inflation making the price of food and everything else go up, and people are finding it to be a struggle, which I said would happen, particularly whenever they started passing out that stimulus check money and shit, that this would happen, So, it is what it is. But I mean, it's just not a good time. It's definitely not a good look. And less people are, reacting to this. Less and less people are going to give you an audience. And whenever you push this bullshit out there, then more people are going to be turned off by it. Because it's saturated right now in the mainstream media. What these entertainers need to do, if they want to actually pretend to be a celebrity, like anybody gives a fuck. I don't even know. Celebrities are, a thing of the past. There really aren't any more celebrities. But if they really wanted to do something, they would go ahead and get rid of their fucking Twitters, and then they would go ahead and focus on their career, get good movie roles, start making better movies, start putting out blockbusters again, start, marketing to everybody. Stop trying to alienate and pretending like you people are virtuous or, have a moral position, because it's just not true. So anyways, you people tell me what you think. You like, sub, do the shit YouTube, Twitter, Facebook tell me to do to get over. And for now, I'm out.